All they can do is sit and watch and scream and say, that's it. We're going to impeach Elon Musk. Who's going to tell them? Democrats have finally found their fight. They've drawn a line in the sand. They're ready to die on that hill. They're ready to protect all of those bureaucrats who've been using billions of your tax dollars to pay for the Iraqi Sesame Street and a transgender musical in Ireland. That, darn it, we're America, and that's what we stand for. That's the Democrats' message, I guess. And they recognize that Donald Trump is incredibly popular right now, most popular as he's ever been. So what are they going to do? They're going to go after Elon Musk, apparently. Here's Elizabeth Warren this morning on Morning Joe laying out the strategy to save the republic from Elon Musk.
Oversimplify the election results because you've been around long enough, and I've been around long enough to know that a 1% or 1.5% swing would have changed things entirely. So I'm not going to be here to say, oh, Democrats have gotten everything wrong. and to that point, Kamala Harris may have lost the battleground states, but Tammy Baldwin, a lesbian legislator, won Wisconsin. And you had a woman winning Michigan. You had a progressive Hispanic winning Arizona. You had a female legislator winning Nevada. So it's not all black and white. I mean, Democrats did very well in other parts of swing states, too. That said, that's all a really big windup for this question. How in the world do billionaires gut agencies that are meant to protect working class Americans? How do billionaires raise tax cuts for billionaires and brag that they're raising tax cuts for billionaires and gut spending to protect working class Americans? And how do Democrats lose any elections among working class voters? Maybe you have an answer that the rest of us do not have, but does that not just seem crazy on the surface of it?
So let's take a look at Elon Musk. He spent $288 million.
Yeah, so the entire conversation, Elizabeth Warren says, yeah, forget about Democrats losing working class voters and forget about those programs. Let's talk about Elon Musk. But the question is, the answer is baked into Joe Scarborough's question there. I don't know if you heard it or not, but he said, how did we get to a point where a billionaire is gutting programs that were meant to protect working class Americans? And that's the language that you should be looking for. Programs that were meant to protect working class Americans, but certainly whatever they were meant to do or however they were sold to the American people, that's certainly not what they are doing. Instead, they become, tens of millions of dollars going overseas to undermine American interests. That would be USAID. And then the Department of Education. Did you see this one out of Health and Human Services? They just cut a program that was going to spend $160,000 on an Anthony Fauci museum. That's right. An exhibit celebrating Anthony Fauci using $168,000 of your tax dollars. And I know, that's not that much. No, but the point is, the majority of the American people right now not only distrust Anthony Fauci, they think he should be investigated for lying about the Wuhan virus and all of the things that came along with it. They know you don't like him, but they were going to spend that money anyway, knowing that you don't like Anthony Fauci. They're going to take money out of your pocket, money that should be going to other things that the government does, or maybe money that you can keep, by the way, and instead they're going to spend it celebrating and honoring a person they know you don't like. And that's the point. They want to tick you off. And they want you to feel powerless. There's nothing you can do about it. What are you going to do about it? Well, now they're finding out what we're going to do about it. And I love Joe Scarborough trying to downplay this election. Well, it goes 1.5% the other way and everything's different. You know what, Joe? Look at the 2020 election and try to make that same argument. But that didn't stop Biden from firing everybody that Trump had appointed and reshaping all of these programs. The Green New Deal under the guise of Inflation Reduction Act. And that was way less than 1.5%, pal. This is what happens in elections. And you go ahead, keep whistling past that graveyard and downplay the achievement that Republicans and Donald Trump just enjoyed in this last election. first time, and it's only 1.5%. First of all, he won every single battleground state that was laid out in front of him, and it wasn't even close. Plus 1.5% in the popular vote. Yeah, you're right. It's the first Republican to win the presidency with the popular vote since 2004. And before that, you got to go all the way back to 1988. But yes, absolutely downplay what Trump just did. Meanwhile, you turn into CNN last night, and this is Caitlin Collins' shameful, hysterical reporting of the news to her audience.
We are 3 weeks into the second Trump presidency, 3 weeks, and tonight there are warnings that the U.S. is dangerously close to a constitutional crisis. Now, the first shoe on this dropped when a federal judge today said the White House is defying his order to unfreeze billions of dollars in federal aid, marking the first time that we've had a judge expressly accuse the Trump administration of ignoring a court ruling. And in a separate case today, federal employees here in Washington told a judge that the administration was defying another order by not reinstating workers who had been put on leave. Now, this all has prominent Democrats and many of the nation's top constitutional scholars declaring that the U.S. is on the brink of a reckoning. The Trump Justice Department says the president should have the authority to decide how to run the government and that these judges are overreaching. And some of the president's allies say the judges should not be judging any of the moves to shrink the federal government.
Actually, the Trump administration is not saying that the president should decide how the government functions. The Constitution says that, and any plain reading of the Constitution will confirm that. Did you hear how she started this report, by the way, trying to fearmonger whoever's still watching CNN that we're in the middle of a constitutional crisis? As I always say, whenever we dissect what the media does, pay attention to the language used here. I promise you, there are lots of sets of eyes that write this script that Caitlin Collins reads off the teleprompter using the one skill set she's got, reading a teleprompter. Take a listen to the words.
We are 3 weeks into the second Trump presidency, 3 weeks. And tonight there are warnings that the U.S. is dangerously close to a constitutional crisis.
There you go. There are warnings that we are dangerously close to a constitutional crisis. Really, who's voicing those warnings exactly? Oh, yeah, there are warnings, all right, from Jamie Raskin, from Maxine Waters. I'm sorry. Your indication here is that a judge has said that the Trump administration is defying his orders. First of all, last time I checked, one single judge cannot just blanket order an administration and the executive branch on what to do. But secondly, try the Biden administration, who defied the orders of a circuit court determining that the Remain in Mexico plan should get back into place. And sure, they followed that for what, a month, and then they just went back to catch and release. Or how about the Biden administration bragging about how they defied an order from the Supreme Court of the United States over their unconstitutional attempt to repay student loan debt? But I don't remember Caitlin Collins jumping on CNN in prime time with sirens blaring saying there are warnings that we're on the brink of a constitutional crisis. It's almost like they're hypocrites with a double standard and they only see things one way. It's almost like that. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Warren wore the exact same outfit on a different MSNBC show. This one, Rachel Maddow. Although Rachel, to be fair, looks a little bit like Joe Scarborough, but I don't know, a little more masculine. Is that fair to say? I mean, I don't want to be rude or insulting to Joe Scarborough, but it's true.
You're right. We've got our toes right on the edge of a constitutional crisis here. But here's the thing. It may be the case that Donald Trump is so full of confidence that he thinks he can wave his wand and whatever he wants to happen will happen. And in many cases, he will be right. For example, the Republicans in the Senate just go ahead and confirm people for jobs that they know they are not qualified for. So they will kowtow to him. But I don't think that's going to happen with the courts. And here's the next part. They may not be able to force Donald Trump to do something, but Donald Trump isn't actually the guy who puts in the orders and cuts people's paychecks. There's somebody else in the system who does that. And they're a click down from Donald Trump and a click down from that and a click down from that. And when a federal court issues an order and then gets people in front of them and says, you either follow that order or find yourself in contempt, now we're going to see whether or not those are people who are going to say, oh, but Donald Trump told me, and a judge is going to say, I don't care what Donald Trump told you. I'm telling you what the law is. You follow the law. And, my view right now is the courts are where we are hanging on to our constitutional structure. They still have the power to hold everybody else in this country in contempt if they do not follow lawfully issued court orders.
Wow. So number one, you see what the Democrats, or at least the authoritarians like Elizabeth Warren's strategy is. Yeah, we can't go after Trump because he's popular and he's actually doing what he said he was going to do. So instead, we'll squeeze the little guy. We'll squeeze the guy who's actually executing the orders from the president of the United States. It's not Trump's fault for signing the executive order. We're going to go after the little guy and hold them in contempt for actually doing what the head of the executive branch tells him to do. These are contemptible, vile individuals we're dealing with here. But this is what authoritarians do. They bully and they intimidate, and they find the right judge to do their bidding. But here's the thing. Trump can find his judges too to offset what these judges did. Everybody's screaming about how we're on the brink of a constitutional crisis. We're on the knife's edge of a constitutional crisis. This is the media and the Democrats finding some narrative to terrify you about Donald Trump. You haven't bitten. You haven't taken the bait on anything for years now, since they said that he was a felon, a convicted felon, 38 counts against him. He could face 100 years in jail. You didn't care. Oh, he's a convicted rapist. That's a lie. And you still didn't care because you saw the truth of that story. Oh, he's holding nuclear war secrets that he's going to sell to our enemies down in Mar-a-Lago, so we have to raid his house in the middle of the night. You didn't care because you saw the truth behind all of that as well. They've thrown everything they possibly can at Donald Trump, and you haven't paid any attention. You haven't cared about it. So now they're just trying to scare you even more. It's a constitutional crisis. But nobody's just sitting back and saying, wait, why don't we watch things transpire? And then if we actually get to the Trump administration defying the Constitution, then maybe we can have this story. Then maybe we can have the conversation. Then maybe we can do our big siren bulletin on cable news primetime saying, all right, we're in a constitutional crisis. Instead, it's all, well, we're on the brink. We're on the nice edge. We're very close. What does that even mean? We're very close. Because J.D. Vance and Donald Trump have said on social media that they disagree with the judge's rulings? Well, okay. I remember a day when Barack Obama stood in the floor of the House of Representatives during his State of the Union address and said to Supreme Court justices in attendance that they were wrong with their decision about Citizens United. Was that a constitutional crisis? Presidents are allowed to disagree with the Supreme Court, guys. And that doesn't put us on the knife's edge. This is all hysteria. It's because they have nothing else. Not only do the Democrats have nothing else to run on, they have nothing proactive, and they haven't. For 10 years, they have not stood for anything other than opposing Donald Trump and calling Donald Trump names and screaming that the sky is falling because Donald Trump is in the White House. And that's all they know how to do at this point. We have a whole generation of Democrat politicians who have won office and gotten elected on that and that alone. And they've got nothing else. And now that that doesn't work, they're stuck. They're absolutely stuck. So this is all they have. And meanwhile, this is all Rachel Maddow has, and Joe and Mika and MSNBC and Caitlin Collins on CNN. They don't know how to do anything else. So now everything they're delivering to you is, we're almost in a crisis. We're on the brink of hysteria, so we're going to be hysterical about it now, but then it might not happen. I mean, they go up to 11 on the dial every single time Trump does anything. I'm shocked that we're not on the brink of a constitutional crisis because the man allowed plastic straws back again. Actually, I shouldn't give them any ideas. They'll do exactly that. It's gotten so bad that Jamie Raskin, yeah, this guy, for the last several years in the House of Representatives, he's known how to do just one thing: investigate Donald Trump and impeach Donald Trump. And now he's sort of stuck because it's like, well, we've done that plenty of times and it seems to only make him stronger. So, well, now what are we going to do? I've got one skill set to investigate and impeach. So, all right, here I am. I'm on cable news. I guess I got to do something.
Does not like the idea that a guy who would not even be constitutionally eligible to run for president is acting as president, a guy who, if he were president, would be impeached immediately because he's taking billions of dollars in foreign government emoluments from all over the world. And some people have actually been talking about impeaching President Elon Musk right now, on the theory that he's usurped the powers of the presidency. So
there you go. So they fraudulently claim that Elon Musk is the real president, and this is his way as the richest man in the world to getting power and gaining the White House, because otherwise he'd be ineligible because he was born in South Africa and he's not a natural born citizen. So they insult Donald Trump by saying that Elon Musk is really the president. Time magazine shows a picture of Elon Musk behind the Resolute desk, thinking that that's going to tweak Donald Trump in some way or anger Donald Trump in some way. And Trump sort of brushed it off and said, what, really? Time magazine? Is that a thing? I thought it died already. And so now, because none of that is working, Jamie Raskin has decided that we're going to pretend Elon Musk is the president. So now we'll have a pretend impeachment of Elon Musk. We'll impeach Elon Musk. That's what we'll do, because that's all we know how to do is impeach people, even people who aren't actually president or don't actually hold any official position in the administration. Are you seeing what's happening here? Are you enjoying what's happening here? I am. I mean, honestly, if this is all they've got and they just continue to go to this well, go ahead. Because while they're doing this, while they're acting absolutely insane, while they continue to perpetuate this obsessive madness over at 1600 Pennsylvania, they're actually getting stuff done. They're actually delivering for us. And they're actually fixing our country and letting us know exactly what went on for the last several years, last several decades, frankly, with your tax dollars, without your permission, without your consent. Everybody in Washington always says they want to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. And now we actually have somebody exposing all of the waste, fraud, and abuse and ending it. And all they can do is sit and watch and scream and say, that's it. We're going to impeach Elon Musk. Who's going to tell him? Who's going to break it to Jamie Raskin? Have you seen the news from certain economists right now? They're forecasting a depression, not a recession, a depression by 2030. We're in this perfect storm right now where Social Security and Medicare hit a breaking point, with the largest generation hitting retirement all at the same time, plus a smaller workforce, meaning a smaller tax base to fund those programs. And then, of course, we've got our growing national debt, rising cost of living. It's the perfect storm. That's why these predictions are coming in. Now, there's a lot that's out of your control, but what can you do? Well, you can do whatever you can to secure your own family's future. Gold can be a safe haven in hard economic times, and Birch Gold makes it easy to diversify a portion of your savings into physical gold. You can transition an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold, and it doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. So protect your future today. Text Larry, that's my name, Larry, to 989898. Get your free info kit on gold, and you'll get a copy of The Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. No obligation, only information. We love information. You deserve to get this information. It's free. Why not get it? Text my name, Larry, to the number 989898. Do that today.